What's up, folks? Look here. We're going to make some iron skillet cornbread today. I'm on a mission. I want you to join this mission with me. We're going to make some short, simple videos over the next few months for people who are just beginning to cook, who want to learn how to cook. We're going to make up a bunch of simple stuff that just about anybody can do. Today we're going to make some iron skillet cornbread. I don't want you to be afraid to make cornbread. Cornbread is a wonderful addition to almost any meal. We're going to make some today, show you how simple it is. We're going to make this in a good old cheap iron skillet that's been around here for about 35 years, and it's made a lot of pans of cornbread. So we're going to throw some of this together today, see how it comes out. Get you a mixing bowl like this right here that'll hold 4 or 5 cups. Put you a cup and a half of yellow cornmeal in here. Now that's just all-purpose cornmeal. It's not self-rising. I prefer all-purpose because if you buy self-rising flour or self-rising cornmeal, they both already have baking soda and salt in them. But if you buy a 5-pound bag of self-rising cornmeal, it's got a certain amount of salt and a certain amount of baking soda in it, and you don't really know where in there that's mixed up. So if you buy all-purpose and you add your own salt and soda, you know exactly how much is in each batch of whatever you make. So I prefer all-purpose cornmeal, all-purpose flour as well. This is a half a cup of all-purpose flour that we're going to add to that meal. To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Put all our dry stuff together first. Pretty much always do that if you're learning to cook. Mix your dry stuff up so you can incorporate it well before you get anything wet. Right here is a teaspoon of baking soda. Right off in there with it. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's what's going to make your cornbread rise. Now that's our dry stuff. What we want to do with that before we do anything else is take us a spoon and mix that flour, salt, and soda and baking powder in with this cornmeal till you can't tell where the cornmeal stops and the flour starts. Stir it in there real good. That'll make it rise evenly. The baking soda in there will make the little bubbles come up all in the cornbread, make it light and fluffy. Mix that up real good. Now, I've got my oven heating here at 425 degrees. We're going to cook this cornbread pretty hot, and it cooks pretty quick. You're going to want to put this in here at 425 for 20 minutes. No more, no less. To our dry stuff, we're going to add 1 whole egg without the shell. Put your egg in a little bowl here and take a fork and mash the yolk. And then start to whip that egg. Just make little circle motions with your fork till you get the yolk and the white mixed together good and it turns pale yellow. Doesn't take very long. You don't have to beat it all day. Just get it mixed up real good. Once you've got that, add that to your dry ingredients. Make sure your oven is already hot at this point. Once you get your egg in there, right here, we've got about a cup and a half of buttermilk. Now this happens to be full-fat Bulgarian cultured buttermilk. You can buy low-fat buttermilk, but don't expect the same good taste. This is full-fat buttermilk. It's going to give this cornbread a lot richer flavor than low-fat will. If you're just dead set on low-fat, that will work. This tastes better. Don't put this milk in this dry stuff until you're ready to bake this. Because once you mix this buttermilk with this flour and cornmeal mixture, it's going to begin to activate. And if you leave it sitting in this bowl too long, it's going to rise in the bowl rather than in the pan. You don't want that. So make sure your oven's hot. Pour this buttermilk in there slow. You're going to use most of this cup and a half. Pour about a cup and a quarter in there. Save just a little. and then stir that up good. That way you're stirring your egg and your buttermilk into this mixture till we get all the dry cornmeal mixed up good with this milk. Cup and a quarter, cup and a half of buttermilk is all you're going to need. If you can see down in there pretty good, I'm going to zoom this in a minute. You want this to be not just super wet, not to where it's runny, but you want it wetter than bread dough. It's more like a cake batter than it is a bread dough. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of that buttermilk and stir it in here till I get this the consistency that I want it. I want it to be able to almost pour out of this mixing bowl, where I've got to help it a little bit with a spatula or whatever. Not too runny, but I don't want it so dry that it comes out like a ball of bread dough either. You put too much buttermilk in your cornbread, when it comes out of the oven it tends to be a little bit gummy, and you want it to be more cakey than that, for lack of a better term. Now, right here, I've got 2 tablespoons of bacon grease. What I'm going to do with that is put it in this iron skillet, if I can get it out of the bowl. Now this is an important step to making good cornbread. We're going to put a fire under this skillet. We're going to heat that bacon grease until it almost, just till you can see a whiff of smoke coming off of that skillet. You get your skillet good and hot before you put it in the oven. That's what's going to give your cornbread a really good crust. We're going to stir just a dab more buttermilk into this while our bacon grease is getting hot. You don't want that grease boiling. You just want it hot enough that you see a whiff of smoke coming off of that iron skillet. Once that skillet gets good and hot, we're going to put this batter in this skillet. We're going to put this in the oven at 425 degrees for 20 minutes. We're going to see how it comes out. Don't run off. Now we've got our pan just beginning to smoke right here, so I'm going to turn the fire off of that. And I'm just going to put all this batter into this skillet. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's sizzling just a little bit. Don't worry about this being spread out good all over the skillet. It'll level itself in just a minute, especially as it gets in the oven and begins to cook. Get all your batter out of there. This iron skillet transfers heat pretty good, so the handle is hot. Just kind of shake it a little bit, get it level into the oven. Now once you put that skillet in the oven, set the timer on your phone or set the timer on the microwave, set a timer somewhere for 20 minutes and then check that, and it's pretty much going to be done. Based on your oven, it may go 22 minutes at the most, but you don't want to get it too hot and cook all the moisture out of it. So 20 minutes, 425. We'll pull this out in a minute and cut us a piece, see how good it is. Don't run away. Alright, we got our cornbread out of the oven here. It's been 20 minutes and it come out and it's good and brown on the top. Hope you can see that like that. Now if you've got your iron skillet seasoned like you shouldn't have a problem with this sticking. Just give it a little bit of a shake like that and you can tell if it's stuck or not. If it is, you may want to put a spatula under it and help loosen it up, but this seems to be just about right. You want to get you a good, after this is cool for a couple of minutes, still pretty hot. The handle's very hot. Let's turn this out onto a plate. And you've got a good pan of cornbread there. Think about how good that'll be next time you make a pot of homemade vegetable soup or a big pot of chili. Have a big pan of homemade iron skillet cornbread to go with it. Now, this is still hot, but I'm going to cut a piece of it anyway, just so you can see what the inside of it looks like. That hot bacon grease helps make a real good crust for this cornbread. See how moist that? We got a good rise on that. It's good and thick. We're going to slice that in half, long ways, almost all the way back, and put us just a little bit of butter in there. If I can get some on here I don't drop. Let that butter melt just a minute. We'll see how good this is to eat. Homemade iron skillet cornbread. Try your luck at it sometimes. Good stuff. Thanks for watching. Come back to see us.